cops of Reddit, what's the creepiest thing you found during a house search? Possibly too late to the party, but here it goes. I was a fresh officer with dreams being a hero. I get dispatched to a call of a family fight. Not wife husband, but brother sister. The female was reporting the male had attacked her. I arrived and located a female and male. The male I knew from prior contacts. I detained him in handcuffs and quickly smelled the strong odor of pepper spray. I found out that after the male knocked off the female's weave, she pepper sprayed him. I knew there were different types of pepper spray, like gel. I'm walking around the house taking photos for my investigation and accessing the property damage. I noticed that in his room the odor from the pepper spray was extremely strong and made my eyes instantly water with a decent amount of stinging sensation. The fumes made it incredibly hard to breathe and left me without the ability to breathe at points, requiring that I leave the room to get fresh air. I find a brownish gel substance all over the walls in the shape of handprints. I photograph it and determine that it was the pepper gel that male suspect was wiping off of his face onto the wall. I found it odd that it was all over the walls and covered the room. Although this chick dusted him with the entire can of pepper gel. After some investigation, I took the male to jail. I responded to the same house several days after for an unrelated medical issue. There were more family members at the house and the male was still in custody. I was having a conversation with the family as the hero firefighters were saving the day. I inquired if they had fully cleaned up the pepper spray from the male's room. They gave me a strange look and told me there was none in there. I told them about the gel that was on the wall. I then sat there in horror as they explained to me this man had been, for years, coming on his walls and playing with it. And the gel was in fact old cum and the fumes were the pungent smell of this man's cum room. My fucking god. My brother is a cop. He told me about this time when they responded to a workplace accident where a rail yard worker had been crushed between two rail cars. The guy had been crushed/pressed into the ladder of one of the cars. They kept hearing voices coming from the body. Muffled voices, but definitely coming from the body. It took them a while to figure out the worker had been carrying a radio. Needless to say, they were a bit disturbed until they reached that conclusion. Not a cop, but a former corrections officer. Doing a cell search one time and stumbled across a 500ml coffee mate container almost full of accumulated semen. I was later told it took 7 months to save it up. I've seen and dealt with a lot of shit, but for some reason, that one ranks up there. My dad answered a domestic call at an apartment on the 23rd floor. As soon as he walked in, he saw blood everywhere. In pools on the floor, spatter on the walls and ceiling, smeared all over everything. He walked further in to find a woman crumpled on the floor, battered beyond recognition, and the partner is standing in front of an open window. My dad started to talk to the man to coax him into coming with, and the man immediately turned around and stepped out the window, falling 70 meters to his death. Edit. Yes, she survived. Tiny quiet southern town. Whole family that had been dead for a week. Their teenage daughter's boyfriend, who she met online, was visiting from across the country. Stepdad, mother, daughter and her friend all murder and hacked up by an axe. The mom was a professor at my university a block away, and when she didn't show up to work for a few days, cops went to house and talked to murder, who gave them some plausible excuse, so they left. He stayed in the house for a full week before leaving. The cops went back when neighbors reported the smell. They caught the guy at Ray Airport about to fly home. I'm not a cop but a paramedic. Went into a lady's house one time. Can't remember what the call was for. That had sheets of paper taped all over the walls. They all said something along the lines of "remember, the voices aren't real." Gave me a warm, safe feeling. Brother-in-law is a cop. He told me about a time he and his partner were called to do a wellness check on someone with a terminal illness. Family didn't know where he was, so they get to the house, knock, and get no response. They entered the house to see if he had passed away due to his illness. They did not find him there, but what they did find was a stairway leading down to a basement. In that basement was a vast number of sex toys, ropes, harnesses, etc. There was also a stage with a bed on it, and a video camera on a tripod focused on it. He had stumbled upon this guy's sex dungeon. The guy ended up being alive, but was visiting someone out of town, and didn't notify any of his family. Family disturbance call on Christmas Eve 2011. Husband vs. wife. No battery, nobody went to jail. But the house was filled with hundreds of knives and dildos. Normal dildos, little ones, great big horse dildos, and every kind of mall ninja knife you can imagine. Every horizontal surface was covered with sharp metal or jiggly silicone. There were even a few new ones under the tree. After clearing the house we had to talk to these folks with a straight face for a good 10 minutes. It was one of the greatest challenges of my career. I was an MP, and not involved in this particular case, but child pornography on a guy's computer. The guy was known to leave his room unlocked, so people could use his computer. He ended up getting booted from the military, and serving time in a military jail, while swearing it wasn't him. Friend of a cop here. He told me about how him and his buddy went to search in an apartment. They looked around, and his buddy finally called him over. A guy was just in an oven. Dead of course, but in an oven. When the guys tried to pull him out of the oven, all the contents and gas of the dead guy fell right out. A few of the guys vomited and gagged. My mother used to work for a police department, and I'd hang out there when I'd be homesick from school. This old man used to walk to the gas station on the corner to get a pack of smokes and coffee every day. The gas station attendant called for a wellness check when she realized she hadn't seen him for a couple weeks in the dead of summer. Cops went, knocked, smelled something, opened the door, walked in, instantly came back out vomiting from the smell. They had to come back later with respirators, trash bags, and snow shovels to clean up the sludge. That used to be the old man. Another officer almost quit his first night on the job. Really bad accident. Guy shows up. The one car has no one in it at all. He's looking around. Guy isn't on the ground anywhere. He tried to figure out if maybe the guy walked away, so goes to look inside for some identification. Finds the guy. He hit so hard that he slammed up under and into the dashboard and was just a broken sack of bones stuffed in around the steering column and other parts. My aunt is a police dispatcher. Normally she takes calls from the public and has an officer nearby respond. But one day she was asked to work the station's radio because the normal guy was sick. That meant she was acting as the central hub of the police radio network, taking calls from officers in the field and issuing backup to them, that kind of thing. She wound up having to listen to 4 cops talking back and forth in a panic as 2 squad cars arrived to check on a reported murder. The person who called was certain that there were multiple killers present. The victim's meat had been cut into 1-inch cubes, as if their killer was going to fry them up or make kebabs. The whole crops had been disassembled like that. Bones cut into neat-inch segments, organs removed, separated, organized. She remembers one of the officers panicked and screamed something along the lines of "This is OCD movie monster bullshit." I can't remember the exact quote sadly, and I doubt my aunt remembers it herself. She thought they were playing a joke on her until they called for a hazmat crew to get the body. My uncle is a cop and likes to tell the story of the time he shown up to arrest a 15-year-old who skipped school to throw rocks through some cars and steal things in them. He gets there and knows the kid. They've gotten him a few times from the school with drugs, one time for having a knife. They knock on the door and his 18-year-old brother and 17-year-old sister open it. Cops say what they want, and they tell them to fuck off. Cops show they have the warrant for the kid's arrest, and that they have to open the door. Get told another time and now the other cop car pulls up and asks what's going on. Uncle said they might have to force their way in and break the chain. 18-year-old shithead says he's got a gun. About 3 seconds later the door is broken. 18-year-old shithead is tussed. 17-year-old is screaming for the brother. Hoss wanted to book it. He jumps out the window and gets away. For now, brother is thrown in cop car. 17-year-old slaps the one officer, gets the same free ride and bracelets. They call the property manager and get permission to enter the house completely to investigate. The second floor reeks. Worst smell they've ever smelled. They get upstairs and it just gets worse and worse. They open the door and find a long rotten body surrounded by needles and other drug shit. They leave and call it in. Uncle said later it came out that their grandmother died of an overdose. The mother was in jail for stabbing her ups guy, and the kids never reported the grandmother was dead, so they could keep cashing her social security checks. She was dead for about a year. Other than that, his best creepy stories were a guy who tortures and killed animals by feeding them to other animals, not mouse to snake, think more cat to dog, or wow ate a large rabbit to a starved snapping turtle. He also nailed several live rodents and cats to a board in the basement, where he'd photograph them. And the other is a drug dealer who killed a guy and tried to put him through a meat grinder and feed his pit bull. I volunteer with local PD, and I go on ride-alongs often. My creepy thing isn't scary so much as freaky. So we get a call about some squatters in a house that's going to be demolished soon, to make room for a freeway. No big deal. Kick them out, go on with our business. It's sunset, just starting to get dark. Our car and the other officer arrive at this place and it's all fenced off and looks abandoned. And by abandoned, I mean it looks scary as hell. It was like an old schoolhouse, metal swing set, a friendly scarecrow next to a fence. Some crosses here and there, but it was in a residential neighborhood. On the blocked-in windows, people wrote in Sharpie all kinds of spooky stuff. This place belongs to us, and just all around weird shit, like even creepier than that. So there was a main house, a garage type thing, and then a cellar, a fucking door leading underground with creaky ass wooden steps. And so if you walk down those, it's concrete and there are windows, but it's a basement. The windows just show dirt. There are beds and stuff, but it looks like it's been abandoned for a long time. It was so scary it's ridiculous. If this comment gains any traction, I'll drive over and take pictures of it. I know it's still up. Trooper here. Responded to a fight between two brothers and another unrelated black male. All these guys were in their late 30s, early 40s. Get them separated. They were all drunk. Turns out the bigger of the two brothers and the other male were fighting over who got to have sex with the other brother. They had been raping him for a while. All three were low functioning. Not really creepy, but I'll always remember that one. Creepiest, a dead guy. But not just your average dead guy. This guy died on his couch, surrounded by no less than 1500 Miller Lite cans. Plus, he had no friends or family. None. He was retired, and his electric bill was auto-deducted from his checking account. He died on his couch, and no one realized it for 5 months. When we found him, the top, front really, because he was on his back, was completely skeletonized. But the bottom, or back, against the couch, was still meaty and rotting. The half skeleton was kinda creepy. But it's really creepy and sad that this guy left this world and it didn't affect anyone. Just gone and forgotten. Funniest, respond row a burglary. Going through the house with the homie Arwanas, a young married couple, documenting damage and loss. Step into the bedroom. There's a red vibrator on the floor. They look at it, I look at it, and then we look at each other. Spend the next 5 minutes with locked eye contact talking about the broken window, missing jewelry, missing TV, etc. Everyone refusing to look at, discuss, I acknowledge the vibrator. And then on to the living room. Taking this law class, my professor brings in a cop to talk about points of law. At one point the cop shows the class a picture of a man who committed suicide by gun. Can you see what color his eyes are? He asked. Of course noon can. And after sign downstairs the cop says blue, one blue this way, the other blue that way. The whole class groans, and I raised my hand. Obviously you have thicker skin about this sorrier thing than we do. Have you ever seen anything that got to you? The cop got serious looking, and then told us this story. A local family, 2 brothers, both young. Every Saturday morning the older brother would get up early and make toast, and both he and his younger brother would sit in front of the TV, munch some toast and watch Saturday morning cartoons. This one Saturday the older brother didn't want to get up and make toast, so the younger brother decided to try it himself. He apparently went into the kitchen, put the bread in, and pulled the switch down. He didn't notice how close the toaster was to the kitchen window curtains. To make a long story short, the house caught fire and the parents barely made it out alive with the oldest son. By the time the police officer arrived the younger boy was dead, burned to death in the living room. The officer said he must have set the toaster, and went into the living room to watch TV and wait for his older brother to wake up and join him. The officer said the window nearby had collapsed from the heat and melted around the little boy. The cop said he had 2 boys about their age at that time. Said he had to excuse himself from the scene, went to his squad car, and couldn't stop crying and shaking. As the cop told the story in class, he started crying again. Crazy sad cop story, and I made a cop cry.